Hi Tip City, today we're here with bartender at large, Alec Black, at the famous Clo Club, and he's going to teach us about the history of the Martini. So what is the history of the Martini? How long has it been around? Where did it come from?
So we're talking like the late 1800s. So you see the drink pop up in about 1888. It was printed in a bartending manual. But the curious thing is the original Martini in that bartending manual was actually a misprint. The drink that they were publishing and the drink that they were pushing was a drink that had been around for at least a few years at the time, called Martinez, which is a really popular drink at the time. And there just happened to be a spelling mistake. Someone left off the N-E-Z off the end of it and birthed, as we're saying, probably one of, if not the most ubiquitous cocktails of all time.
So my Martini of choice is a Vesper.
The interesting thing about the Vesper is you actually can't make it anymore. The ingredients that were needed to do it don't exist, which a lot of people, when I say that, think that, well, then I can't have a Vesper, but I think it's a great opportunity to kind of have a Vesper the way that you like it. It gives you free reign to try whichever type of gin, or whichever type of vodka, and then whichever type of kind of fortified or aromatized wine you feel best suits the needs of it, because you can't possibly recreate the exact original. So you're kind of forced to have free reign and artistic creativity with it.
So what are you making us today?
So we have a classic Martini, not original recipe. I like my Martinis like early 1900s, 1910, 1920s. You've got a London dry gin, which today we're using Jensen's, one of my favorite. It's one of the few gins actually made in London. So London dry doesn't mean it's from London, it's actually a stylistic thing. But it's one of my favorite gins around, and it's nice that it's actually made in London. It's a little higher percentage, which I really like in my martinis. I like them to be what we like to call hot. I like to taste that alcohol a little bit more. And then for a dry vermouth, we're using Maiden Eye, which is a dry vermouth from Australia. This is an amazing vermouth. I think this is going to be part of a new wave of vermouths. Up until recently, vermouths were they were kept in the fridge, either at your home or even at a bar. They were only used for cocktails, which is great. But a vermouth is wine. And you're starting to see a lot more vermouths come out into the market these days that you can drink comfortably as a wine. This is my favorite of that. So we've got a classic Martini, and then a few dashes of orange bitters, because classically speaking, a Martini had bitters in it throughout the entire time. The style of bitters has changed a little bit. With this dry vermouth, dry gin style, I really like it with a little bit of orange bitters. I like the citrus bitters in there. Yeah. I mean, perfect time to explain that you don't ever want that extra ice in there either. You don't really get that dilution and chill as much as when you're stirring it. But there is also a point in time where a thermal equilibrium will be reached, and your drink just won't get any more diluted or chilled.
So explain to us just what you did there at the end with the lemon rind. So you just, I'm assuming you just bruised the rind.
You just expel the oils.
And then you wiped it here, but I also noticed you wiped it on the stem.
It's just a way to transfer the experience one step further, where that cocktail experience is now still left on your hands, and I feel for the guest. It's really nice because even when you're talking and you're holding your hands close to your immediate, even once the drink is done and you've left, you still have some sort of sensory reminder about hopefully how good that drink was and how good the experience was at the bar.
That's so fascinating. I love that. That's great. So I'm going to check out this classic Martini. Thank you, Alec.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's pretty fantastic. What else are you making us here?
So, as I said, the Martini was birthed by a misspelling. So I feel if we're going to be talking about martinis, we should go right back to the very beginning and enjoy our Martini next to a Martinez, and have that original cocktail that started it all. The Martinez is very similar, with a few slight differences. It looks obviously a lot different, but when it comes right down to it, it's not. Yeah, that's Apothecary. That's their aromatic bitters. Apothecary is a very local company. They're probably less than 10 minutes away from us. Right now, they're out of East Vancouver by a guy called Cole. Cole makes some amazing bitters. And that's their aromatic. Aromatic is usually your safest bet if you're purchasing bitters for home. It's the one that kind of does the most. It checks off most of the boxes. I'd say once you've settled in on having a good aromatic for a home bartender, then you can look at getting an orange would be my next one, and then a New Orleans style. And then depending on what brands you like and what flavors you want, there's tons of different ways to go about that. But yeah, so an aromatic bitter in this instead of a orange citrus bitter. And this is going to get very interesting. So same gin brand, different style of gin. So this time we're looking at Jensen's Old Tom. Old Tom at one point in time was the reigning king of gin styles. So Old Tom is the style of gin that is going in the base of this, and then a sweet vermouth, sometimes called an Italian vermouth, done by the exact same company out of Australia. And again, same reason here. It's a vermouth that you can sit around, you can drink, you can enjoy. A little bit of maraschino. It's an Italian liqueur. It's made from a strain of cherries called Marasca cherries, but it doesn't really taste like cherry. That's one thing I often tell people when I tell them that I'm putting that in a drink. It's like, oh, it's got this cherry, and they're like, I don't like cherries. And that's fine, and I'm happy to skip it, but it doesn't taste like cherries. It's got a very unique flavor to it. So all of those in, and we'll stir it up. Yeah, so it's a sweeter style of gin, a sweeter style of vermouth liqueur. At that point in time, drinks tended to be a little sweeter, but we have that aromatic bitters to help balance that out. And based on the ratios that I enjoy, I've got a little bit more gin to fill down the sweetness of the rest of the ingredients. One thing that's actually really interesting about the London dry gin and the dry vermouth is the term dry martini came from those ingredients. And it's ebbed and flowed by definition throughout the years, but originally it meant you wanted a martini with the dry ingredients. It had nothing to do with, nowadays usually it represents the amount of vermouth that somebody expects in it. You say I want a dry martini, it means a little bit less vermouth, but originally it meant the style of vermouth. And it's gone through, it's meant no extra sugar added, because at one point in time you added a straight sweetener to it, to the style of vermouth, to the style of gin, and now it's just the amount. So it'll be interesting to see where the phrase dry goes to moving forward. But there is a Martinez, the father or mother of the modern day martini.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very different from.
For sure.
Very different from the classic martini. Do you have anything coming up in the next little while in the city that you'd like to tell us about?
Dayton Cup's going to be a big thing, so I'm always involved in Dayton Cup every year, so that's right around the corner.
Alec is actually also the cocktail director for Dayton Cup and is the runs the cocktail competition.
Cocktail competition, the cocktail bar. That's something that I'm fortunate enough to be involved in every year. So we've got some exciting things coming this year. In both categories, we're going to again have some of the province's best bartenders come together and compete for some great prizes, and I think more importantly in a lot of their minds, bragging rights, and then just enjoy a great day and some cocktails and some juleps and everything at the races.
Awesome, thank you so much, Alec Black. We look forward to seeing what else you have going on and following you on Instagram at Blacktending on Instagram. We'll also have all that in the feed here, and if you ever get an opportunity to have a cocktail made or a martini made by the notorious Alec Black, I definitely recommend you make it happen. Thank you so much, Tip City, and we look forward to seeing you again.